Beautiful Miami, Florida on a Friday night. The Rockies getting set to take on the Marlins for 3. And then it's off to the Midwest in Chicago. And that'll be followed up by a visit to Flushing Meadows to take on the Mets in Queens. The Rockies come in winners of their last 2. They're 14-12. And the Marlins are 7-17. Making his way to the mound, 26-year-old Jose Urena, who is looking for his first victory of the year. A year ago, he went 14-7, which was the staff leader in victories for the Marlins. Also had a .382 ERA. He's a talented, hard-throwing right-hander. DJ LeMahieu, get used to it. He's now the new leadoff hitter for the Rockies. Charlie Blackmon is hitting right behind him. So it'll be DJ and Charlie as opposed to Charlie and DJ, which we loved to see last year, but it doesn't matter. Those two set the table for Nolan Arenado. David Dahl back in the cleanup spot. Trevor Story, he's red hot. He'll bat 5th. And Gerardo Parra, welcome back to Gerardo. He's been on the suspended list the last 4 days for that brawl with San Diego earlier in the year. Ian Desmond will bat 7th. Chris Iannetta has the gear on, batting 8th. And then, of course, Tyler Anderson. A little bit more on Urena, one of the hardest throwers in the game. His fastball sits typically 96 or so, and he's got a very good slider, better against lefties, interestingly.
Yeah, he is. Big fastball. The slider plays against lefties because it has good downward action. When you look at this kid, he's from the Dominican Republic. He signed with the Marlins when he was young because he heard he could be fast-tracked to the major leagues. Big arm, good competitor, and I think there's always an opportunity when you're looking at the Marlins and thinking back to somebody that the Marlins are missing, Jose Fernandez. Urena really paid attention to everything Jose did and took his aggressive pitching style, and that's what he still tries to emulate.
First pitch misses, ball 1 on DJ. And Urena's second pitch is right down the middle. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rockies, over their last 15 games at Marlins Park, have won just 3 times. Temperature inside is 76 degrees. Outside it's 76 degrees, but it's raining out. So it's a good thing the roof's closed. That's fouled off. I thought you made a wonderful point a few moments ago when we were discussing the approach here. You played here. This is a big ballpark. Yeah, Giancarlo Stanton can hit it out of the Grand Canyon. We understand that. But you have to, I don't want to say manufacture runs, but you got to lay some hits together here. You can't sit back and wait for the old Earl Weaver 3-run home run. Doesn't typically happen. No,
Earl Weaver isn't around anymore, so you can't expect him to come up and hit it for you.
That as well.
But I think more importantly, and even talking to some of the Marlins coaching staff, is making sure that as a unit, you take your approach, you hit the ball opposite field, you stay short. It's huge to center field. 407 to center. The corners are deep. It's a pitcher's ballpark.
And this is in the air to shallow right center field. Closing is Brian Anderson. The ball always finds the new guy. Brian Anderson's an infielder. He's a young player, and he's in right field for the first time in his career. And naturally, he gets the first chance. Let's take a look at the first bank defensive alignment for the Marlins tonight. Cameron Maybin is in left. He has center field wheels. Lewis Brinson, the good-looking kid, he's in center field. And they welcome back Martin Prado at third base. He's their leader. He's been out with a hamstring injury. Miguel Rojas, Starlin Castro up the middle, Justin Bohr at first. And one of the best catchers in the game, JT Realmuto. That pitch is off the plate, ball 1. Comes in at 94 miles an hour. Charlie Blackmon is 4 for 9 lifetime when facing Urena. And he takes a quality swing there. 1 ball, 1 strike. All time in South Florida. It's not just Marlins Park. I remember many series up the road, and so do you, in Fort Lauderdale. Rockies couldn't win at Joe Robbie. It didn't matter what they called it. Land Shark, Dolphin Stadium. Spielberg's
there's no
mausoleum. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Mausoleum, I like that.
Yeah. I don't know how you hit there, but here's the 2-1. And Charlie works underneath this one. And in foul ground, Prado, look out, gets called off by Rojas. 2 outs. 2 outs, nobody on. And that'll bring up Nolan Arenado. Nolan has swung the bat well against Urena, especially of late. He's got a couple of home runs against him.
I remember this one, opposite field, a big part of the field. And then at home. Nolan likes a guy with velocity and somebody that tries to sink the ball occasionally into righties. You always have certain matchups where your swing path and the way the guy throws, it's almost like he hits your barrel.
It's a matchup that works, though there's a lot of matchups that seem to work for Nolan. Nolan is 10 for 21 since coming off the suspended list. Swings and misses there, 1-1. He's got 3 home runs also since his return. And this is fouled off and out of play, so it's 1-2. In one of those slider counts. Rockies will play a couple of 10-day road trips here in the first couple of months of the season. This is a 9-gamer. And a strikeout in a 1-2-3 inning for Jose Urena. So when we come back, Tyler Anderson will be on the mound for the Rockies here in South Florida. Up on the mound, getting ready to face this Miami Marlins team that's 10 games under 500. This will be his 6th start. Once he gets out of the first inning, Spilly, he's been outstanding.
He really has. Over a 14 ERA in the first inning, and then it's a sub-2. His fastball is important because it sets up the changeup. The changeup 81 miles an hour, the perfect differential, 10 miles an hour. Bud Black mentioned earlier today, it's one of the best in baseball. For the Win is brought to you by Pizza Ranch. And let's get through the first inning. Anderson has allowed 8 first inning runs, at second most in Major League Baseball. And as I mentioned earlier to you, Drew, for Tyler, it's being aggressive in the strike zone, not giving up the walks, and try to get that feel for the changeup as fast as possible so you can command it throughout the rest of the game.
Here's JT Realmuto. I got a quick trivia question for you. How many catchers do you ever recall who led off? I think Biggio for a minute did it back when he was still catching for Houston.
Off the top of my head, Jason Kendall.
You know, Jason Kendall's a good call. This ball is to shallow center. Charlie coming on, DJ going out, and it's LeMahieu. Let's take a look at the Marlins lineup as Martin Prado gets ready to walk to the plate. Starlin Castro, when he was in Chicago, he hit. With the Yankees, he hit. And he came in the Stanton deal. He still hits. Brian Anderson, a young player they like. Justin Bour's got big-time pop. Cameron Maybin's been around. Miguel Rojas, the former Dodger. And then Lewis Brinson, who is one of the centerpieces of their rebuilding project. He can hit the long ball, but he's been striking out at an alarming rate. Here's Prado, his first big league at bat of the year, and he's really battled injuries the last couple of years. Last year he played less than 40 games. He's a close friend and workout partner of Carlos Gonzalez in the offseason. They both live in the Orlando area. And that misses inside, 2-0. This is one of the true pros and true leaders in Major League Baseball.
No question.
Martin Prado. And this ball's well struck to left field. Retreating and making the catch is Gerardo Parra. 2 outs. Here's the first bank defensive look for the Rockies this evening. Parra, Blackman, and David Dahl in the outfield. Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, and Desmond in the infield. And Chris Ionetta is doing the catching to begin this road trip. 2 outs. As Starlin Castro steps in. Castro, lifetime .321 hitter against the Rockies. That had to be a tough one. I mean, listen, you put a big league uniform on, you're in a good place, right, Spilly? But he went from the Bronx with a team that tries to win a championship every year to a team that is clearly in rebuild mode.
It's tough.
This breaking ball is hit hard, and Nolan comes up with it and throws him out by 2 steps. He's something else. What a play by Arenado. And that is all for the Marlins in the first. A very solid beginning for Mr. Anderson. We'll go to the second.
Dahl will lead things off for the Rockies. David's been hitting cleanup behind Nolan Arenado, and this week he complained about his own at-bats, saying, I've been striking out way too much. 8 strikeouts in 16 at-bats. However, we have seen that power from David Dahl, and that's the important thing. He has a hit streak going. It dates back to 2016, 11 straight games. And for Nolan Arenado, he likes what he sees with the guy behind him.
He's not just power, you know, he can use the whole field, you know, he can get his knocks and base hits, you know, and that's kind of what our lineup needs. You know, we need a guy that can, I guess, get something going, you know. He can obviously, you know, clip you with a homer here and, you know, once in a while, but at the end of the day, he's going to have a quality at bat and get on base with a base hit, a double, triple, any of those things. You know, I think sometimes our lineup relies on homers and the big innings, and I think he puts his at bat and the type of player he is, he kind of like makes our lineup a little bit better with.
And quality at bats are something that's an important discussion for this team as they continue to try and improve offensively and reach their potential. Of course, with Carlos Gonzalez not in the lineup right now and on the disabled list, it'll be a nice problem to have when he comes back, how everyone fits in the order. But again, for David Dahl, the approach has been the same. He said, I'm finally starting to catch up to the speed of the game again, being back here. And guys, I did some math, and the games that he has started in his career, in 56 games, he's had a hit in every single one of them except for 8. Spilly, that is really hard to do in a young career.
It is really hard to do.
It's hard to do in an old career.
It's hard to do in any career. I'm glad you did some math today, Jenny. We appreciate the numbers.
David Dahl is a guy that can impact the game in a variety of ways, as Jenny was illustrating.
Yeah. Well,
Comebacker there, one out. That'll bring up Trevor Story, who's hotter than any Rocky over his last 9 games, hitting over 400. Had a great homestand, 7 for 19 on the homestand, including a double, a triple, and a couple home runs. Drove in 10 in 6 games. He takes strike 1. Here's the 0-1 from Urena, and that's fouled off. Quickly 2 strikes on Trevor. Here's some of the numbers that we were alluding to. Last 9 ball games, a .414 average, 3 jacks, 13 driven in, and he's getting the ball in play.
it's been a small adjustment. You can't really see it from your eyes, but the leg kick is a little bit shorter, a little quieter, starts a little bit sooner.
And he gets this one on the ground on 1 hop to short. Rojas will throw out Story, who's among the 3 fastest players in baseball right now. It's been documented, and we've played a month of baseball. He's running better, and this may shock some people, slightly better than Billy Hamilton.
Yeah, that shocked a lot of people.
It shocked a lot of people, but they, as you like to say, they do it with the how many feet per second.
Yep.
And he has been right at about 30 feet per second, which is elite speed. He's actually been slightly better than that. The only guy who's run better than him is Byron Buxton. Parra's first at bat after taking 4 games off. That pitch is outside. How hard is it, Spilly, to come to a ballpark where some of your closest family and friends are there and very few others? The atmosphere is not great, just being honest. This ball's fouled off. It's a big league stadium devoid of patrons.
Yeah, anybody can play in front of 40,000 fans. It really does take, you know, a little extra when you're playing in front of not as many. And this is where you really rely on focus and leadership and making sure you cheer for each other, as silly as that sounds. And most importantly, I think, if anything, be a competitor. Go out there. This is a major league game.
Be a pro.
Be a pro.
2-2 with 2 outs. And Parra serves this one to shallow left center. Will it drop? Yep. Rockies have their first base runner. In fact, the first base run of their game, as Gerardo Parra right back into the thick of things. Drops a single in there, and that will allow Ian Desmond to hit here in the 2nd inning. Desi has great career numbers against the Marlins. 11 home runs, 58 driven in, just south of a 300 batting average. Used to see him quite a bit when he was with the Nationals. And this ball is to short. Rojas will flip to second, and that's all for the Rockies in their half of the 2nd. Middle of 2 in South Florida. We're at Marlins Park. No score. by the 2018 Toyota Tundra in your hometown Toyota stores. By O'Toole's Garden Centers, putting the color in Colorado. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Well, we just came back to Marlins Park, and while Tyler Anderson was warming up, something must have occurred, because Scotty Garrett is out there. Buddy Black, as you can see, is out there. And quite honestly, I was looking at something on my computer. Did you see something, Spilly? Here's his last warm-up pitch. We have it on tape. And it's like he signaled to the dugout.
This is always such a risk, is where he just pulled something when he threw a pitch, and now you have to prove whether you want to throw a pitch or not, or come out before you get hurt again. Well,
you know what? Chris Iannetta went behind the plate, but Buddy's standing right in front of him. I don't know if he even wants him to throw one right now. And this is the old, he's an athlete, he's a competitor. He's trying to sell Scotty Garrett and Buddy Black that he's okay. And now they will let him throw. Everything has to be in sync, and I guess he cleared one pitch and he cleared the test. But even though you weren't a pitcher, you know that if something's not right, subconsciously your body is going to rely on other muscles, and you could then injure something else.
Well, and you start playing timid. I mean, it happens to hitters all the time. He'll feel something, you go, whoa, what was that in my wrist, or what was that from my side, what was that my rib cage? You take a deep breath and you reassess if you want to swing again.
Here's Brian Anderson, and that fastball at 90 at the bottom of the zone. A good pitch. 0-1 on Anderson, who had 22 home runs in the minor leagues last year. Batting cleanup for this fairly young Marlins team in transition. Got some Brian Andersons through the years. Left-handed pitcher Brian Anderson, right?
Yeah, broadcaster.
Change-ups down. 2 balls and a strike. Miami, like the Rockies, they were off yesterday, and they won their first series of the year Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Guess where that came?
I couldn't believe it was against the Dodgers.
At Chavez Ravine. They beat Kershaw. Well, they beat the Dodgers in a game Kershaw started on Wednesday. 3 balls and a strike. And like the Rockies, they've won their last 2.
Well, and the story of that Dodgers series loss, where the Marlins went in and won the final game, it was Trevor Richards, who's probably going to end up being a movie. He was a guy that bounced around. He was in independent ball. He was a substitute teacher this offseason. First major league start.
Playing in the Frontier League.
Yeah, he was like first time west of the Mississippi.
Strike 3 on the swing. So Anderson comes back and gets the punch out.
Well, and he goes west of the Mississippi, first time in his life. And he goes, he strikes out 10 Dodgers. He beats Clayton Kershaw. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. He's out of Drury University, a D2 school in Springfield, Missouri. How about that? And he's playing in the Frontier League. I love it. I love when guys who have such a passion and will not hang up their spikes. And there have been a number of great stories of guys that have come out of the independent ball to get to the big leagues. Justin Bour's got a nice story. This was a Rule 5 selection originally off the Cubs roster a few years ago. This is the kind of guy, you know, you picture back in the 20s when you went barnstorming. That's the kind of guy, right?
No batting gloves.
No, he used like a tree branch as a bat. Could swat the ball over, you know, 3 barns. 2 balls and a strike on Bour. Rockies put 3 on the right side, and Bour is waving at that pitch that's off the plate. 2-2. Well, whatever it was, Tyler looks okay. If you have one wish for certain guys, for Tyler Anderson, it's sustained good health. For David Dahl, it's sustained good health. Other guys, you say, the ability to spit on the slider away, right? But for those two guys, give them good health, because they're going to put up numbers if they can stay on the field.
If you're on the field, you have an opportunity to just get in a groove and put up those numbers. That's what everybody wants. It's every player, even on the bench. Just give me an opportunity to get consistent at bats.
Boy, that's a good-looking pitch. Good job by Bohr also to somehow get to it. And you see Tyler is not a soft-tossing lefty. He'll reach back. We've seen him get 95 before, Spilly. This is 93. It's got a little fuzz on it. One out in the second. Another 2-2, and that's... It had slider movement. What do you think that pitch was?
It's cutter.
Because he doesn't really throw a slider. Must have been the cutter. Challenged at 94, and it's fouled back. Anderson working with great tempo. This ball's a hard hit ground ball, and it's going to find a seam. And there's the initial hit for the Marlins tonight. A one-out single by Bohr. That'll bring up Cameron Maben. Time for the Coors Light refreshing finish. Rockies got a wonderful start from John Gray on Wednesday. At one point, he struck out 7 of the first 9. The Rockies, at the end of the day, had 16 strikeouts. It's the second most they've ever had in a 9-inning game. So John was dominant, throwing shutout baseball on Wednesday. Here's Cameron Maben. Tough guy to double. He takes high ball 1. So you're wondering how many times the Rockies have struck out more once. A game that Spilly participated in back in 2008, the 22-inning game at Petco. 17 strikeouts. And then in a game, you'll never guess who started that game in June of 2015 against Houston, in which the Rockies ended up with 17 strikeouts to the Astros. I'm going to give you one guess. He just was picked up today after he was released by a club.
Colin McHugh.
He faced Colin McHugh in that game, who was briefly a Rocky. David Hale.
That's right.
Not to knock David, but he's not the first name that I would have come up with on a night where the Rockies had 17 strikeouts as a pitching staff. Two balls and a strike on Maben. Bohr's at first. Anderson's been striking guys out. He's averaging better than a strikeout per inning pitch coming in tonight. This is his 6th start of the year, his 40th major league start. 3-1 on Maben.
Well, you can see Tyler Anderson, he's taking breaths in between. I saw him walk off the mound.
You know, Buddy's watching him closely.
Like he's holding, he's holding his chest. He's trying to settle himself down. Yeah, they're going to come take a look at him again.
This, well, I don't know. I guess this is a mound visit.
They're bringing somebody out to come take a look at him.
Desmond's, and he's holding the chest almost as if the heart's racing. You never want to speculate with anything like this, but keeps taking deep breaths, and then
yeah, they're gonna probably take him off the mound.
He's going to have to come out. So the Rockies will go to Antonio Senzatella, who's their designated long man. He'll inherit a 3-1 count on Maben. He'll have as much time as he needs to get ready. We'll come back. No score in Miami. By Subaru, love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by UC Health, live extraordinary. With Ryan Spilboards and Jenny Cavnar, I'm Drew Goodman in South Florida, and we are not sure as to why exactly that Tyler Anderson had to be removed. It looked like, you know, shortness of breath, the way he was reacting. Keith Duggar had come out with Buddy Black right after he threw his final warm-up pitch. He threw then one pitch in front of them. They walked off the mound. He struck out Brian Anderson. He gave up a Justin Bohr hit, and he looked like he was okay. And then all of a sudden, with a 3-1 count on Maben, he kept trying to, it looked like, again, that he was trying to catch his breath. And that's when Ian Desmond came in and Chris Iannetta went out, and they waved for Scotty Garrett and Buddy Black to come out, and Scotty didn't even allow him to throw another pitch. And obviously Tyler was upset. He's a competitor. It's his turn to pitch, but now it'll be up to Antonio Senzatella. Well, Derek Jeter is a guy that is one of the most iconic, not only New York baseball figures, but really one of the iconic sports figures of the last half century. There he is with his wife, Hannah. And he is now in a different role. I think you know his resume pretty well from his 20 years as a New York Yankee, a 14-time All-Star, 5 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Sluggers, closed in on 3,500 hits. He finished his career like a really like I mean, it's like a fairy tale, his career. 22nd player in Yankees history to have his number retired. But for the first time, really, Spilly, in his professional life, he's dealt with not adversity, because as a player you deal with adversity, but he's dealt with not always being so popular. He's not necessarily popular yet here in South Florida with some of the moves that were made in the transitionary phase, both with players and other areas. This is new to him.
Well, I'm assuming this is probably not what he thought it was going to turn out to, and to his credit, he's tried to handle it with grace. I know he's gone through some town hall meetings where he's having to answer questions. Why are you getting rid of the best players? Why aren't ticket sales this? Why aren't you doing that? And he's facing the music. The other aspect, too, you're coming off of an owner that is despised in Miami, who is constantly in trouble. And if you're looking at this new ownership group, not to make excuses for them, but they're picking up a lot of bad laundry, dirty laundry that the previous owner left behind.
And their philosophy basically was strip the whole thing down. And I understand that. I really do. One of the things I'm troubled with a little bit of late is this notion that certain teams are tanking. I don't recall it being phrased that way in the past when teams rebuilt. What is the point of spending to be mediocre as opposed to having a plan, going with youth, and maybe you do have a lighter payroll for a couple of years in anticipation of then adding to that when you're ready to win? It's hard to win in any sport every single year. And I think what they felt the most prudent way to go about their business going forward, because they haven't won in 14 seasons. I mean, they haven't gone to the playoffs in 14 seasons. The only team with a longer drought in baseball is the Seattle Mariners. So it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds in the near term and over the next couple of years. So Maben with a 3-1 count against now Antonio Senzatella, and that pitch misses. That walk will be charged to Tyler Anderson. So now there's 2 on, 1 out, and that'll bring up Miguel Rojas. So far the work of Antonio Senzatella, the opposition hitting .355 against him.
It's always difficult to look at a guy whose numbers are like Antonio and look at ERA and look at the innings pitched, because it's such a small sample size. And Antonio is used to being a starter. I mean, this is still an adjustment in his role coming out of the bullpen as a long reliever. I mean, just think about the situation. He's sitting there. He just watches his teammate in the middle of an at-bat go down. And now you have to run out from the outfield, warm up in front of everybody. There's no chance to sit down. It's not like normal warm up. There's no water. It's just a different mindset, and it's difficult.
It's really difficult because mentally there's a time in the game you're watching something unfold and you feel like, you know what, I may get a call here pretty soon. Anderson's rolling along. You're in the second inning with 1 out. You're really, you know, probably just getting settled in your seat out in the bullpen. Some guys, in fact, and Senzatella has to because he's the long haul guy. But, you know, guys like Wade Davis who work late in the game, they're not even in a bullpen at this time, typically. One ball, 1 strike on Rojas. Veteran utility guy, played for Donnie Mattingly in Los Angeles. And Donnie was telling us before the ball game, he's really proud of Miguel because he's always been known as a glove first guy. He said he may not be a great hitter yet, but he's become a tough out. That's a high compliment.
It is. You want quality at bats? That's what you like to have. 250 bat air this season with 3 homers, 7 RBIs, and a stolen base, and he hasn't made an error at shortstop this season.
And think about this, he had 4 career home runs coming into the season. 1-2. Sensatella misses off the plate. The breaking pitch, 2-2 on Rojas. Rojas came with D. Gordon to Miami from LA several years back. Boers at second. Maben at first. Used to yelling "look out" on those line drives that are hit late, but now we don't have to call that out very frequently because of the netting in every major league park over the dugout. Many parks it extends beyond the dugout. It's great. Allows fans to sit on that dugout and hopefully they still pay attention, but if they don't, they're not in harm's way anymore. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Popped up to Desmond. He'll catch it in foul ground. He got in his kitchen with that heater, and that's the 2nd out.
That's what you want to see, and giving an opportunity to Sensatella to now get settled down. I know talking to guys that have come in these situations as a pitcher, as a long reliever, is you feel like you're holding everybody up. Everybody in the stadium's waiting for a ball game to go, and sometimes they don't get loose right away.
I've heard that too, Spilly, where they almost feel nobody's putting pressure on them, but they're looking around there going, nobody's doing anything, and they cut it off maybe a half dozen pitches before they should have. Here's Lewis Brinson, talented kid, a lot of holes right now, and he takes a strike at 93 on the inside corner. Brinson's dealing with some pressure because he's now been in 3 different organizations. But he grew up a half hour from here in Coral Springs, Florida. So every night that he goes to the ballpark, friends and family, things that he didn't have to deal with certainly in Milwaukee when he was up briefly last year. He fouls that off at the plate, 0-2. Donnie Baseball, Donnie Mattingly was also raving about what a great young man Brinson is and what a great work ethic he has. Now he's just trying to figure it out at this level, but get in line. There's a whole long list of talented guys who takes a while to figure out this brand of baseball. It's like no other brand anywhere in the world. Here's the 0-2, and that's in the air to right field. Dahl's back there, and he makes the catch, and Sensatella does a nice job coming in for Tyler Anderson. We'll give you an update as soon as we have it. We'll go to the 3rd, no score. It'll be Chris Iannetta, and then Antonio Senzatella in the top of the order, DJ LeMahieu. Fans, when the Rockies score 7 runs or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6 and get your Rockies taco special lip moss at Taco Bell. The Rockies just completed a 3-3 homestand. They'll have a day off next Thursday in New York. But a challenging trip, because even though Miami is not one of the better clubs in baseball and doesn't expect to be one of the better clubs in baseball, we talked about the history down here in South Florida for the Rockies. Then you go to Chicago. They're a World Series contender again. And then you go to New York to take on a Mets team that's very, very good, not only in the early going, but they should be able to sustain a high level of success this year. They got a lot of pitching, even with Matt Harvey moving to the bullpen. So this is a challenging road trip.
You always look for these road trips that define your clubhouse personality, your team's personality early, because you can ride that wave. The last thing you want to do is go on a road trip, and we saw it carry over for the Rockies to start off the season. They struggled at home, then they went back on the road. They regained some confidence. They came back. This is a very resilient team, we've noticed, with some veteran guys and a core group of players that believe that this is a playoff caliber team. You're going to have to play that type of baseball throughout the week.
What I'm excited about is that the Rockies are 14-12, and you could go to every guy in that clubhouse and any guy in the coaching staff, and they know they have not consistently played the kind of baseball that they're capable of yet in any facet. We've seen the bullpen protect leads and do a good job on the plus side for the most part. We've seen some quality starts, but there hasn't been, a 10-day period where you say, man, they're scoring, half a dozen runs a night. The starting pitching's been great. The pen's doing their thing. They haven't gotten on that kind of roll yet they're 2 games above 500. As evidence, they're minus 19 in run differential, yet 2 games north of 500.
Exactly. They're still trying to find their identity, but as far as run differential, they've laid some pretty large eggs in some of their losses.
Yep, there's been a couple of lopsided ones, and that's affected the early season run differential. That is the second strikeout for Urena, and that'll bring up Senzatella. Sure, he brought a bat down, or you think maybe he had to tell one of the bat boys run up to the dugout and pull a couple bats for me?
There's usually 1 or 2 bats that are designated for pitchers, just extra bats.
They're like the leftover Corey Sullivan bat from 2006.
Josh Fogg model.
Two and one. How many bats do you have left in the garage?
Like 3 dozen.
A decent amount.
Yeah. My favorite ones are these Japanese bats that I have, and they're vacuum sealed.
Really?
Yeah, they're cool.
Is your name how
It's Japanese?
Is it in Japanese?
Yep.
Well, Senzatella didn't have to bring a bat to the plate on that particular AB. That'll bring up LeMahieu. He had a fly ball to right, leading off the ball game. 2 outs in the 3rd, nobody on. You had fun this afternoon.
My arm's hurting.
Is it?
Yeah. Threw some BP for the boys.
Yeah, my little friend got out there and threw early BP. And attendance was strong for early BP, huh?
Yeah. There's a lot of guys. Oh, you guys got it on tape? Oh, man, I'm getting a coach's body for sure.
That's good. That was a loud sound. That's what you want. What did you say? You're getting a coach's body?
Yeah.
You can work on that, In my mind, I thought I was throwing harder. you're missing the point of this. Every time the ball got squared up, you were going, oh, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
It means they're squaring up the baseball.
Yeah, that's what you want.
McMahon hit the second deck, which was awesome.
You were proud of that.
I was super
had a little
proud
something on it for him to get to the second deck. DJ down the right field line. That is fair. Anderson is going to turn and throw. It's on line. Not in time, though. And DJ has himself a 2-out double.
Well, DJ, one of the best in baseball, of hitting the ball the opposite field. I always love the negative load for him, taking a step backwards so he can get into his legs. A 6'4" frame, trying to make sure he keeps his foot on the bag.
That's his 13th extra base hit of the year. They're seeing if it's worth appealing.
Well, I'm noticing DJ at second base. He keeps bending down and stretching. I'm curious if he did anything with the slide. Sometimes you get a raspberry sliding into second base. You might have a cut on your knee that's already there, and you might just open up an old wound.
Ball one on Charlie. Charlie fouled out down the third base line. His first time up. Blackman looking for his 16th RBI. Give the Rockies an early lead. 2 outs in the third. Why raspberry, not strawberry?
I don't know.
How many guys wear sliders? If you're a base stealer, you wear sliders, right?
Yeah, some guys will wear knee pads, those neoprene sleeves. Some guys will just wear the long, almost like tights underneath.
We were discussing this the other day. I don't think people realize how hard a major league infield is in terms of firm surface.
It's hard.
Right. It's not the local park sandbox that doubles as
and
a Little League field.
And the outfield too. I mean, the grass is firm. You think it's nice like landing on a pillow. It's not.
2-1 on Blackman, and they get DJ. DJ saying, hold on, my foot was in. He's not moving off the bag.
Well, this is a nice play run by the Marlins because it's a no look. So he's either getting the sign from Real Muto, the catcher, whether it's a tip of the glove. He's not even looking. So it's a timing play with the shortstop, and most likely it's the catcher gives a sign. Oh, he might have missed it.
Oh, he might not have tagged him.
Yeah, nice.
Let's see if this angle showed. They're going to take a look at it.
Oh, yeah, DJ gave him the old okey doke.
Gave him the okey doke. It's impossible to tell from that angle if the glove ever contacted, though DJ was emphatic that he didn't get tagged.
Well, it's Fielding Colbert, the second base umpire. I want to see if we can see from the center field camera if it's the catcher, if it's Real Muto that gives some sort of hand sign, because as I mentioned earlier, Ureña doesn't look back, so that's a timing play with the shortstop, which will be fun to pay attention to. So he puts the sign down, and as soon as he lifts his hands up, that's when it goes. That's when he turns and throws. It's a great play.
I don't think he ever tagged him. They had a replay up on their Jumbotron here, and it looks like he whiffed on the tag.
Well, before today's game, we had some numbers from umpire challenges over the course of the season, and it's been about 50-50.
There's been 49.1% that have been turned around. And if you're wondering, by the way, the laces, you see the laces are not considered, the long lace is not considered part of the glove. I mean, it's part of the glove, but you know what I mean.
Right.
And they're going to stay with the out call. So DJ is picked off to end the third inning with Charlie at the plate. You don't see that frequently, as smart a base runner as LeMahieu is. Just a moment, he was adjusting his batting gloves, and you never lose sight of the baseball. DJ did for one moment, and it cost him as he got picked off. Let's check in with Jenny. She's found somebody that used to be a really good baseball player.
Yeah, he sticks out in this crowd, no doubt. Larry Walker, the one and only, catching some Rockies baseball. We were just talking off camera. You haven't seen this team in quite some time. Is it a treat for you to get to come out and watch some baseball?
It's been a while since I've seen them not in Coors Field. You know, to see them somewhere other than Coors Field is kind of neat. I haven't been to a ball game for a little while either, so it's nice to see some live action.
Yeah, we were talking, you helped out one spring training, came down and just kind of was working with some of the players. What's impressed you most about the growth of like a Charlie Blackmon per se?
Well, I tell you, it's fun to watch him. You know, I remember when he first got called up, I remember just thinking, wow, this guy's fast. You know, he'd hit some ground balls, he's down the line in a heartbeat. And now he's kind of taken his game to a different level where hitting the ball out of the ballpark at will, you know, playing some defense and just really just doing every aspect of the game and become a superstar.
Yeah, we talk about superstars for the Rockies specifically. Obviously, your name comes to mind, Todd Helton, and a guy that's playing right now in Nolan Arenado. What he does defensively, did you ever see that when you played the game?
I'm not sure there's a lot of people, even 20, 30 years ago, that have seen what he can do over there at third base. Obviously, you guys are amazed by it every day because you see it every day. I don't, but the times that you do get to see it, what an honor for all the Rockies fans to see this guy day in and day out because he is amazing.
We're celebrating 25 years of Rockies baseball, and we're counting down our top 25. I'll just give you a small hint. You made the list pretty high, so I want to throw that honor to you personally. But in all seriousness, what did it mean for you to put on a Rockies uniform for the years that you did?
Well, you know, when it first started, it was kind of my choice. You know, I was asked by my agent where I wanted to go, and being a visitor coming to Colorado with the Expos for the first 2 years when the franchise was first in the league, and seeing the city, seeing the people, the mountains, everything, it reminded me of back home in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I fell in love with it immediately without knowing anything about it. And fortunately, you know, we were able to work out something that I was able to put this uniform on. That's the fortunate part. Obviously, the unfortunate part for me and for the fans is there was no ticker tape parade, you know, and that's the shameful part. That first year when we made the playoffs as a wild card, you know, it was a great start, and then all of us, you know, unfortunately from there on, it didn't work out too well for us. But it would have been nice to had a World Series ring with a Rocky uniform on.
Well, so many great memories for fans that have followed the Rockies forever when they think about you. For me personally, growing up in Colorado, I fell in love with the Blake Street Bombers earlier. For you being a part of it, what was it like to crush home runs and know that just about every night, one of you guys, whether it was you or Galarraga or Vinny or Ellis, someone was going to probably be hitting one out of the ballpark?
Well, as much fun as it was for you to watch, I think our pitchers enjoyed it more because we could be down 6-0 and they could spit the hook and not take a loss because we would come back and score a bunch of runs to save them. But, you know, there was some slugfest definitely that went on, some very long games that went on. But, you know, like I say, it was part of the game. Teams came in to Coors Field and we played them like anywhere else. You know, it was a different game there that you had to approach differently, and we did our job by putting the Bombers together, and if people wanted to slug, as Vinny would say, we'd slug.
Well, Larry, I have to say to Drew and Spilly, it's been quite a week. I've had a lot of fun this week, but this is probably a dream come true for me because in all honesty, if I have to pick one favorite Rocky, I'm standing next to him, so.
Fire up the fountain.
Fire up the fountains. Hey, I have to tell you
crushed.
this, Spilly. I walked up and Larry looked at me and goes, hey, fire up the fountains. I mean, that's when I died. So
There you go.
there you have it.
Hey, Jenny.
Yeah, you got one, Drew?
Yeah, just share with Larry that we're putting together our all-time top 25 Rockies. This is the 25
Yeah, I
year
was
anniversary
just telling him about
season.
that, yeah.
And Larry made the list. Let him know that.
I did let him know, Drew. We just
Yeah.
let him know, yep. He made it pretty high.
He just barely made it, but he's on there somewhere.
You had to get an extra vote in to make sure that he made the list.
We stuffed the ballot box late.
Hopefully I came third.
Oh, come on.
Everything threes. See, that's why.
Hey, Larry, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
You got it. Go Rockies.
All right, Jenny, thank you. Always great to see Walk. He lives about 40 minutes north of here. Martin Prado's worked the count full, 3-2.
I know now's not the time, but I have a great Larry Walker story, and
We'll get to next half inning.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm teasing it.
That's nice. That's a good tease.
Let's just say Larry Walker is as important a part of my career as anybody or any bat that I've ever had.
I know what story you're going to tell.
There you go.
That's a good one.
It's a great one.
Another 3-2 from Senzatella to Prado. And Prado fouls it off again. Prado rehabbing off the hamstring injury that had to miss a lot of camp, and then the first few weeks of the season. He got in 2 games basically on his minor league rehab. And he told Donnie, he goes, I want to go. And so here he is. And that is strike 3 on the outside corner. Senzatella delivers a couple of strikeouts in the inning. He's retired his last 5 hitters. Onward we move to the 4th inning, scoreless down in South Florida. In the 4th inning, fans join in on the conversation. Send us your thoughts, comments, and photos. Use Twitter and include the hashtag Toyota Talk. So you had that story on Larry Walker having a great influence on your career. Tell us that.
Back in 2003, I was a minor leaguer living in Boulder. I was finishing up school, and I called former strength and conditioning coach, Brian Jordan, and I said, where can I work out? He said, come down to Coors Field. So as a minor leaguer living in Boulder, I drove to Coors Field every single day, and I trained with Larry Walker. And so Larry would always make fun of me, but he'd also give me some great insight. In fact, one of the bits of information he gave to me, I ended up sharing with Charlie Blackmon, who still says that's been a great piece of advice for him, which was eventually you'll believe you belong. And there's a moment in every major leaguer's career, and I think you've heard me say it. Walker was challenged by his manager when he was with Montreal. He said, hey, when you believe you belong, your career is going to take off, and it did. And so Larry shared that with me in 2003. He also shared with me a couple bats, some 34-inch, 32-ounce Rawlings LW33s.
Pretty neat. Do you have any of those left in the garage?
So no, I don't. In fact, that one bat, there's an LW33 hanging in my dad's living room. And it was a bat that I had through AA.
2 and 2.
It was a maple bat that one of my teammates said, Spilly, you can swing this. And I swung that bat for 3 months without breaking it. Made it to AAA, had that bat through AAA, got called up to the big leagues. It broke my second at bat in the major leagues. But that
was
bat,
against Milton, right?
Eric Milton. And that bat, I would argue, got me to major leagues. It was Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy.
That was your Wonder Boy.
Yeah, Eric Milton killed Wonder Boy.
Does every player you think have that bat they have a story about? 3-2, bounce foul.
I'm not sure, because that bat specifically, I mean, that bat went through almost 300 ABs.
That's hard to imagine.
300 bats
ABs without breaking it.
Without breaking it. And it broke in the big leagues. Thanks, Larry.
Larry looks good. On the ground, into the shift, right at the second baseman. Castro, 1 out. That'll bring up Nolan. He struck out swinging in the first. Rockies have 2 hits, a Parra 2-out single in the second, and then the LeMahieu 2-out double in the third. He was erased when he was picked off. Marlins have just 1 hit, a Justin Bour single. Well, Larry Walker is one of those guys that seems like when you have the Hall of Fame discussion, there's a significant number of voters that are in his camp. And then there's, unfortunately, a larger number that, at least right now, see him on the outside looking in. Hall of Fame talent, really Hall of Fame numbers. Just, I think the thing that hurts him was big, strong guy who dealt with a lot of injuries in his career. You know, didn't have that run, Spilly, of 6-7 years in a row where he played 150+ games a year.
That's the biggest knock against him. And the other knock is Coors Field. And I know this offseason he was asked about it.
This ball's hit pretty well to center field. Brinson going back, and he'll have room in this big ballpark in the middle of the track.
Going back to what Larry Walker said, he said, all right, if you're going to hold Coors Field against me like it's a PED, then get rid of the stadium. Move on. Get out of Colorado. But obviously, Major League Baseball doesn't want to do that. Nobody wants that to happen. So don't let Colorado and don't let Coors Field be the hamstring.
You know, it shouldn't. As long as it is and will be for forever, because of the success the organization's had, how well the games are attended, great fan base. It boggles my mind, and people have heard me on this soapbox before, but stop with the disclaimer. 2 strikes on David Dahl, and he's gone on 3 pitches. So Arena's throwing the ball very well. When we come back, we'll check in. It's being Friday night with Buddy Black from the Rockies dugout. Buddy Black is kind enough to join us as he does every Friday night. Buddy, first and foremost, Tyler Anderson had to leave very early on. He looked like he was going well. What's his situation?
Well, I'm not quite sure exactly, but you know, there was something to do with his heartbeat. So I don't know much more than that. I think so far so good from what I've heard that he's checked out with the doctors here at the ballpark.
How hard is it for a relief pitcher to come in to these type of situations? Middle of an at bat. What do you expect out of Antonio Senzatella from this way out?
Well, a little tough for sure. You know, it's easier when, you know, there's 2 outs. He came in with 1, so he was able to work his way through the inning. But I think from now, you know, it should be, you know, he should be locked in. He's settled in. You know, he's thrown an inning in 3rd. The ball's coming out good. He's throwing the ball well. So, you know, hopefully the expectation is he keeps us in the game to the 5th or 6th inning. But and we had to take DJ out, too, if you guys didn't notice. DJ tweaked his hamstring. So hopefully that's not a bad one either.
Great.
Well, it seems to be that time of year. Buddy, good luck the rest of the way. We appreciate it.
All right, fellas.
Buddy Black, and there is Pat Valaika now at second base. And we were, you know, looking at the camera, not out on the field. And Buddy alerted us to that. I wonder when that happened, if it was when he was running out that double.
That's what I thought. You remember we had the conversation about the slide, and I thought maybe it was a raspberry or strawberry, whatever you want to call it. Saw him stretching at second base.
That's in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Starlin Castro hit the ball sharply, but hit it at the wrong guy. Nolan made a nice play and threw him out. And he lost body position, but the pitch just missed. 2-2. So Valaika in the ball game for DJ LeMahieu. And since we're on the subject of hamstrings, the good news is Carlos Gonzalez was doing some sprinting drills today, and that is swung on and missed. Senzatella strikes out Castro. And he's getting pretty close. He's eligible to come off on Sunday. Whether he comes off on Sunday or the Rockies wait a day or 2 longer, he's not far away is the bottom line.
He's not far. He looked great running today. He looked great hitting today.
Three strikeouts for Senzatella since he came in. Brian Anderson, who struck out his first time against Tyler Anderson, takes strike 1. Boy, that was a wicked late slider. You see how late that thing moves, Billy?
He's just getting on the side of the baseball. And sometimes when you come to Florida, humidity, get some great movement.
Boy, that was a dandy. Shows him the fastball. I ain't coming back to that slider. So you're sitting there, Spilly, you're at the plate. It's 1-2. He's broken 1 off. What are you thinking here?
Scouting report tells me he doesn't have great secondary pitches, so I would never get off the fastball. But after seeing a good one like that, he just got caught by another one.
Yeah, and that wasn't a great one, but it froze him still. And that is 3 strikeouts in a row, 4 out of 5. For Senzatella.
Doesn't have the depth that we saw with the 1-1 pitch, but that one in a well-located spot. Anderson just gave up on it.
Justin Bohr, he had a single with 1 out in the 2nd inning. And then Cameron Maben with a 3-1 count against Tyler Anderson. He had to step out because the Rockies wanted to go check on Tyler again, and that's when he came out of the ball game. The first pitch that Senzatella, after getting loose, would throw would miss the strike zone. So it was 1st and 2nd with 1 out against Senzatella in the 2nd. Rojas fouled out. Brinson hit a fly ball to right to end that threat. 2-0 right now on big, strong Justin Bohr. And that's in there for a strike. Right on the black, evidently. Bohr fouls off a slider. Bohr's been going well. He's reached in 14 out of his last 15 ball games.
He can hit.
Justin's hit 4 home runs at home this year. None so far out on the road. Whoa, up and in. 3-2. That'll stand you up.
It's okay to move feet. It's a lost art in Major League Baseball. But if you're throwing inside, you have to make sure you don't hurt anybody. I mean, that's basically the sentiment within baseball is pitch inside. You're allowed to pitch inside. Teams want you. That in order to succeed at the major league level, you have to be able to command inside part of the plate. But if you can't command inside the part of the plate, you're not allowed to go in there. It's too dangerous. The high velocities.
And that misses outside, so Bohr walks with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Maben.
Looking for an affordable way to entertain family, friends, clients, or employees? Ask about the Sunday Monday Super Sweet Special. Tickets start at $100 per person and include a catering package.
Maben bounces this to short, and Story will flick to Valleca to end the inning. So we move to the 5th inning. Still no score, just 3 hits combined. Go to AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote, and we'll show you the results during our post-game show. If Major League Baseball expands, and I know Commissioner Manfred would like to see it expand at some point, where would you like to see Major League Baseball expand to? And we gave you 4 cities: Las Vegas, boy, the Knights are doing nicely, Montreal, Mexico City, or Portland, Oregon. Not Portland, Maine, much to the chagrin of our director tonight, Mike Fox, who's a native of Portland, Maine. That's Portland, Oregon. In fact, Mike's disappointed that Susan Strand didn't designate the OR, so everybody knew that it was Oregon and not Maine. Trevor Story is leading things off here in the 5th inning. Spilly, what would be your choice? Or choices? I'll give you 2.
Well, we saw Larry Walker. I think my choice is pretty obvious. I'd like to see a team back in Montreal.
Hey, give me high five. I'm with you on that. Number 1.
However, I would also like to see a neutral site for baseball. And I think Las Vegas presents a very nice option for Major League Baseball to be able to run games during the month of April when it's freezing cold, and you can move some of the northeastern teams and some of the squads that through the first couple months through April, it's hard to play baseball. So I'd like to see a destination spot for Major League Baseball.
I don't know how the economics would work for that. Split the gate?
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave that where it is. Interesting idea. There's never a bad idea. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Story bounces this to short, and Rojas just did beat Story. 1 out. I would say Montreal of that list, and if Major League Baseball expands, it's going to be an even number, so they're going to expand by 2 cities. Montreal has done a great job the last couple of years. When Toronto plays exhibition games there, they pour out. Now they need a new stadium, but so does Tampa, so does Oakland. But I'd like to see Montreal. After that, I'm sure with the success the Knights have had, how well they've drawn, that's opened the eyes to, you know, the Raiders are moving down there to Major League Baseball. I love the state of Oregon. They'd have to play with the dome up there. And I love the international field. Is Mexico City too far away logistically?
I don't know how far the travel is for a New York team to get to Mexico City, or from Toronto to Mexico City.
This ball's well hit right center field. Nobody's going to catch it. It is going to take a short hop off the wall and par it into second with a 1-out double. Hardest hit ball of the night for the Rockies. Second double. DJ had one earlier. With Parra coming off the suspended list just like Nolan did.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a great thing, but it's good to see him back swinging the bat well. That pitch is up in the zone above his belt, right where Gerardo likes it. Thought off the bat it was going to have a chance to get out of this field, but the ball does not carry very well here at Marlins Park.
Another pick by Urania. Ian Desmond at the plate. He bounced out to short his first time up. His ground ball percentage right now for Desmond is 73%. Last year was 64%, which was the highest in baseball. His career ground ball percentage, as he hits another ground ball here, is 51%. So it is surprising the inordinate amount of balls that that Desmond has hit on the ground so far.
It's mechanics. It is timing. When you're consistently late, the front hip pulls out, and it makes your bat path very steep.
And they'll pass on Iannetta since he's batting 8th. And with 2 outs, Senzatella will come up. He struck out looking. He looked at all 3 pitches that were strikes his first time up. One quick note, we were talking about Mexico City. Spilly, this surprised me. New York to Mexico City commercially is a 4-hour and 40-minute flight. That's not bad.
Not bad?
No, that's very doable.
It was doable,
Longer
yeah.
to go into Los Angeles or San Francisco for the East Coast teams. And there's a splintered bat. There goes that Larry Walker special you had.
No, that's an ash bat. So an ash bat will splinter like that. A maple bat wouldn't splinter.
Hard ground ball, fair, down the third baseline. Senzatella will bring Parra around, and Iannetta will stop at third on a Senzatella double. How do you like that? 1-0 Colorado.
Antonio Senzatella stepping in for Tyler Anderson after he came out of the game, and now he just put the Rockies ahead with the first run. So important for the Rockies to score first. They're 11-4 on the season. Senzatella just gets a fastball up puts the ball in play. Martin Prado's reaction was priceless. Could not believe it.
And now here's Pat Valleca with his first at bat. Again, DJ LeMahieu, we learned this when we were talking to Buddy Black a half inning ago, had to be removed when he tweaked his hamstring. And this is a guess. We don't know where it occurred. He had a double to right. And it was a fairly close play at second. He looked like he ran cleanly, but then on that video, we just saw him kind of grimace. Billy, the bad thing, whenever you talk about a back of the leg injury, it takes time. Even if it's a mild one. Cargo's was down toward the knee, which is the best place if you're going to pull a hammy. It's better down there than up closer, to the glute. On the ground is short, but it still, takes a period of time. The Rockies get a run. The most unlikely guy drove it in. Antonio Senzatella, 1-0 in the 5th.
To the bottom of the 5th. Well, David Dahl, he's had a great couple of games back up with the Major League team, but he also had a very special night last night. That's because his fiancée, Jacqueline Davis, who is a marketing agent, was at the NFL draft. I'm so excited you're here, Jacqueline, and I'm so excited I get to talk to you. First of all, congratulations. One of your clients in Bradley Chubb is a Denver Bronco. How perfect did that work?
Yeah, I know. I honestly wasn't expecting it at all, but I'm so excited about it. Obviously, it makes my life a lot easier. I'm here now, and I get to introduce him to the city, and super lucky to have a guy like him for the city of Denver.
Yeah, I told David I see a lot of Broncos games in your future, so that'll be fun for you guys. I think it's really fun to get to talk to you, the person, because a lot of people see players' wives, fiancés, girlfriends as this luxurious travel fest, but you have a very intense career in the sports industry. How does that help you and David, even though you can't spend all the time together because you're usually in 2 different cities, kind of connect a little further?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. We have to make it work. My off season, his off season is my season, and vice versa. So it's a lot of quick weekend trips. It's getting a little bit better because I'm able to kind of go around the whole country and tap into a game when I can. But yeah, I mean, I kind of get his lifestyle because I'm dealing with guys like that all the time. But yeah, he gets a nice taste of my crazy work schedule, and I get a nice taste of his.
Well, I know he's super proud of you. You can tell in his face in talking to him today. I know you're super proud of him. And so the moments that you get to be there and watch him on the field are pretty special. But you've also got to take him along on some work trips with you as well. What's kind of some cool stuff that he's got to experience in your world?
Well, Super Bowl was in Houston last year, so he got to tag along to a lot of events. I obviously do the marketing for a number of NFL players, and a lot of my clients are from Texas, so it was a crazy week that year, and he kind of got to jump in at all the different events and parties and appearances and just have a little peek into my life for a minute.
Absolutely. Jacqueline, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again. We're excited to see what Bradley Chubb can do in the NFL for the Broncos.
Ooh, me too.
All right, thanks so much, guys.
Jenny, thank you. That's a busy couple right there. That pitch misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. And next November, this coming November, they'll be tying the knot. 7, 8, and 9 in the 5th inning for the Marlins. Miguel Rojas, Lewis Brinson, and Jose Uranus against Senzatella, who's done a beautiful job on the mound. And he picked up his 2nd career double.
What we've seen so far from Senzatella, we've heard the slider's been a work in progress, but we've seen his best slider of the year today.
'96 fouled off, just off the plate. Again, he came in with 1 out in the 2nd inning. All we know about Tyler Anderson is what Buddy Black was able to share, and he said he didn't know a lot, but was having an issue with heart rate. Two balls, 2 strikes on Rojas. Story charges on the move. He throws out his counterpart. 1 out.
Bring your family and friends to the ballpark on Thursday, May 10th versus the Brewers to celebrate healthcare professionals. All healthcare ticket packages include a limited edition Rockies healthcare themed lanyard.
Brinson hit a fly ball to Dahl in right, his first time up.
We're talking about several of the prospects that the Marlins were able to get in return for Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna. And Lewis Brinson is probably the closest to being major league ready. But even at the major leagues for Brinson, it's still a work in progress. He's still very rough around the edges. And from what we've heard from the Marlins personnel is that they said the amount of talent that they have with some of these players, there's tons of growth and potential.
And Brinson again hits it in the air toward David Dahl.
But it is going to take some time and really good mentorship from veteran players, from the coaching staff to be patient. We talked with Don Mattingly today, and he was talking about some of his players and being upset about being here right now. And when are you going to start winning again? Don Mattingly said, we're gonna win soon with some of the talent that they have.
Yeah, I mean, it came up in conversation with a couple of the veteran guys. I said, you know, this is tough. I don't want to, you know, be a part of a 5-year. I mean, who knows where I'll be in 5 years. And he said it's not going to be 5 years. We're not looking at it that way. Urena swings and misses.
Well, and I think it's good for baseball if the team is relevant. I mean, the worst thing for baseball is when teams tear it apart and they're not relevant for years.
That is fair down the right field line. Dahl trying to trap it and was able to keep it from going into that corner, but Urena gets back, I guess, a little bit at Senzatella with a double of his own. That's his first hit of the year.
It's a fastball basically right down the middle. Urena puts it inside the first baseline. He does a great job of getting to second base and give himself an opportunity to tie this game back up.
He runs pretty well.
He runs well. See if JT Real Muto can pick him up with 2 outs.
Twice he's popped to second. Real Muto had a lower back injury. He's been active just for a little more than a week. And he has 4 home runs already.
He does damage at Dodger Stadium.
On Wednesday, he had a couple of home runs in that 8-6 victory over LA. Again, the first series that the Marlins have won all year, taking 2 of 3 at Chavez Ravine. And that's strike 2. Got a great graphic Susan Strand put together. Games played. Remember we were saying how many catchers have led off? I was talking to Buddy about this. And I said, did John Wathan ever lead off? Because John Wathan could run his teammate in Kansas City. Kendall, you nailed it. 467. John Jaso. Paul LaDuca.
John Jaso's a sailor now.
This is foul down the right field line, and a great effort there by Jacqueline's boyfriend.
John Jaso retired this last year. Basically bought himself a boat and sailed away. You know how you hear, if I ever get the opportunity, I'm going to just buy a boat and sail. That John Jaso has bought a boat, he sailed away. He's off.
Got the dreads going still?
He's off the flat planet. Yep.
I was a Jaso guy. I like Jaso. Got some character in him. 0-2 on Real Muto. 1-2. No, he's nowhere near. This is too close to civilization right now for Jaso, right?
I think it was a sailboat too.
He truly's off the grid.
Gone.
Slider. Rockies up 1-0. Senzatella drove the run in. He's trying to keep it that way after the 2-out double by his counterpart Jose Uranus. Real Muto, one of the most talented catchers in the game. He's a very good receiver. He runs exceptionally well. Can hit for power.
How about these numbers? In high school, he set a national high school record. 88 hits, 118 RBIs. He hit just a hair under 600 with 28 homers in 42 games.
Crazy. I remember running those stats out, I think, a year or 2 ago. Pretty good season. Pretty good career.
How do you ever get out? And who got him out?
From a small town in Oklahoma. Another 1-2. And a ground ball to Valleca. Nice job by Pat, and a terrific job by Senzatella. Rockies leading 1-0 as we move to the 6th at Marlins Park.
Miami, and one of the rare wins the Rockies have had here since 2014. Just 3 wins, one of them coming on June 20th, 2016. The score, 5 runs for the Rockies, all 5 of them home runs. Charlie Blackmon hitting one. There's Myron Blackmon, Ellen Blackmon, his parents. It was the day after Father's Day, a very proud moment. But it got us thinking. It's kind of a moment that really clicked for Charlie Blackmon in his career. Offensively, here's what he has done since that date on June 20th, 2016. And here's where he ranks in baseball. He's 3rd in average, he's 3rd in slugging, but he's 1st in runs, hits, triples, extra bases. I don't think those numbers surprise us, but when we put them into context, it's really impressive to see the mark, the actual time where kind of the light switch flipped on for Charlie, and he really kicked it into high gear of having superstar offensive numbers. I mean, Spilly, you witnessed it when you were playing with guys, kind of the slow build over time. For Charlie, I think we saw the slow build, but then all of a sudden it was a moment that he just never looked back and hit the accelerator.
It's almost like he felt like he belonged, that he had so much confidence at this point in his career. Once you start getting some success at the major league level, now there's a number, Jenny, that people talk about. It takes 3 years for a player in the major leagues to really realize what type of player he is amongst his peers. And that was about the 3-year window for Charlie of service time, to where he really figured out, okay, I'm a pull hitter, I can get the ball in the air, and I'm really, really good.
Tonight he's 0 for 2, a foul out and a sharp ground ball to second, and he takes strike 1 from Jose Urena. Rockies lead 1-0. Talking to Donnie Mattingly before the ball game about a number of topics, and Blackmon came up, and Mattingly has an interesting perspective as Charlie grounds out, because he managed the Dodgers and came to Coors Field all the time, and he thinks it's unfair also that there are certain guys that there's always the disclaimer, well, he plays at Coors Field, well, he plays at Coors Field. He's saying, yeah, Charlie Blackmon, Nolan Arenado, there's not a manager in baseball that wouldn't give their left arm to have those guys in their lineup. They don't care what their home ballpark is. Here's Nolan. He hit a ball to the middle of the track in deep center field his last time up. Urena came in, Spilly, with an ERA close to 6, but he's pitching like the guy we've seen in the past.
Well, he had an ERA close to 6, but if you look at some of the advanced metrics, those xFIP, fielding independent pitching, it was mid-4. So it's basically telling you that defense has failed him.
First 3-0 count that I can recall, 3-0 on Nolan.
3rd time through the lineup for Urena, we see the batting average jump up to about 320.
Still got the live arm. 96 on that 3-0 delivery. Touched the outside corner, 3-1. David Dahl's on deck. And this ball is pretty well hit. Again, Brinson on the move, and he tracks it down.
Tell by Nolan, he just did not get full extension on this baseball. Off the end of the bat by a hair, Lewis Brinson, you can see the 6'4" frame and how well he could cover some ground.
It didn't sound crisp off the bat.
Nope.
Just tells you how strong Nolan is and the kind of bat speed he produces. He still hit it 400 feet. Dahl with 2 outs, and he takes strike 1. He's been behind in each of his first 2 at bats. Hit a comebacker in the second and struck out on 3 pitches his last time up, but there he is delivering a base hit the other way. Hard turn by David. Now work back to the bag. Speed aboard with 2 outs with Story coming up. See if Dahl looks early in the count to put that to work.
Well, it's nice for Trevor Story because now it's forcing Urena to stay away from his secondary pitches. And as a hitter, if I can just locate and look for 1 pitch, 1 zone, it's going to be fastball away. And that's the beauty of having a player like David Dahl on base, to where now it forces the issue, and it forces how pitchers have to pitch to the batter because they're worried about a steal. There he goes.
He takes off first pitch. Real Muto's throw on the bag, out at second. Dahl went first pitch, and Real Muto made a perfect throw to cut down David Dahl. So Story will lead it off in the 7th. The Rockies leading 1-0.
Take a behind-the-scenes tour of Coors Field. Group and individual tickets are available year-round. Call 303-ROCKIES for more information. Nice outing from Antonio Senzatella, picking up Tyler Anderson. Went 3 2/3 of an inning. Now Brian Shaw's coming in to record some more outs. For Brian, it's been a bit of a struggle as he's tried to find better command of his cutter. ERA is always up on relievers this time of the year. See if he's able to get command of the cutter right away. I know he's been going to other secondary pitches, and that's not a good sign for a guy that throws cutter 95% of the time.
Well, you mentioned it, and he starts out Martin Prado with a slider. That's really the only other pitch you're going to see him throw. And the cutter's in the dirt, 2-0. Prado, a line out and a strikeout. What a job by Senzatella. Senzatella goes 3 2/3. Allowed a hit and a walk. That was it. There's a strike. Ground ball wide of third, 2-2. The play to end the inning. David Dahl takes off. David Dahl looked like he got a good jump. We put the stopwatch on Real Muto. Major league average in game pop time, that's from glove to glove, is a 2 flat. Now if guys were just doing it on an empty field, you're going to see a lot of guys that are going to get 1.8 and even below that. That pop time was in the neighborhood of 1.75 in game.
All footwork. Whenever you talk to a catcher, they talk about their footwork, being able to spin their feet, and then the transfer from glove to hand. It's not about arm strength. It's about footwork. He has it in spades. That's a freaky good athlete.
Starlin Castro. Yeah, I think the misnomer is that it's all about arm strength, and as you said, it's footwork, it's transfer from glove to hand. There's a lot of catchers They put together really good pop times, consistent pop times. They may not have a howitzer. Most have good arms. You don't go behind the plate if you don't have a good arm. Castro fouls off the 0-2.
With the draft going on, a lot of people have been making comments about Brian Shaw and his warm-up routine using a football. And a couple days ago when the Broncos came to visit the Rockies at Coors Field.
That's fair ball. That is a fair ball, and that is an out. Two
Nice
unassisted, 2 outs. It's one of the easier plays Chris Iannetta will have this year.
And so Brian Shaw typically uses a football to play catch, and that's how he ended up getting the feel for the cutter. Late movement, very hard to square up. Well, the Broncos, they brought him 2 footballs, Drew. They brought him a throwing one and then a football that they use for kicking. A kicking one.
Yeah, I didn't understand the kicking one.
I think they put more air in it, right? So
Yeah, those balls usually a little more beat up. But that's pretty cool that the Broncos supplied him with footballs. And there's always one in Brian's locker. That truly is every day how he warms up. It's a regular Tom House, modern day Tom House. Ground ball to Desmond. Tough hop, in between hop, and off to Brian Shaw. Real strong inning for Brian. 1, 2, 3 in the 6th. The Rockies will have Story leading off with a 1-0 lead in inning number 7. Connor, thank you. We appreciate it. That 27 at the plate is Trevor Story. He's bounced to short twice. He'll lead things off with the Rockies up 1-0 in the 7th. Parra, who's 2 for 2, will follow, and then Ian Desmond. Jose Urena has allowed a run on 5 hits. Again, the run was driven in with 2 outs on a double down the third base line by Antonio Senzatella. If the Rockies can hang on, would get the victory. And there's a line drive over the head of Prado, who may have jumped a little bit early. And the Rockies have the leadoff man on for the first time tonight. And once again, it's a guy who can really run.
Trevor gets a pitch inside, sinker. He's able to not square it up. Mistimed a little bit by Martin Prado. I think when you're reading that swing and you realize that Trevor was jammed, ball didn't come off the bat as hard as he thought. I'm going to point out a number for you, Drew. Rockies 5-hole hitters on the season have a 157 batting average with a 503 OPS. It's something that they want to turn around in a hurry.
Need to. Prado has shortened up at third to guard against the bunt. Outside ball one. Gerardo Parra, here's his 2 at-bats. First time up, poked a single to left center field. This ball he got into. This was the hardest hit ball of the night for a Rocky. One hopper off the base of the center field wall. He has scored the only Rockies run. Again, Senzatella delivered him with 2 outs right after they had intentionally walked Chris Iannetta, which strategically made sense. Senzatella crossed him up by bouncing a ground ball down that third base line. Rockies have out-hit the Marlins 6-2.
Urania's longest outing of 2018 is 7 innings against the Boston Red Sox.
Tonight is the 100th game that the Rockies have played in South Florida. 35-64. We told you they haven't won here. They didn't win in Fort Lauderdale. That misses 2-1. In fact, the Rockies, Billy, did something a little different. With the day off the last few years, the Rockies, to acclimate, have left right after the home game. And so normally they would have left Wednesday evening, that misses, and spent their day off in South Florida. They decided to change it up because of the lack of success they've had down here, and they traveled yesterday, got in here around dinner time. Three and one. Runner going, and this is in the air, and Story finds the baseball. And he'll work back to first base as the catch is made by Brinson. Parra wanted to get on top of that. The 3, that's why he's frustrated. A 3-1 hit and run.
He just missed it.
Now with Desmond at the plate. See if Story looks to be aggressive here. Of course, Realmuto just cut down David Dahl last inning. He takes off, and it's slashed out and fouled off by Desmond.
The Rockies have been very aggressive on the season. 17 stolen bases. They've been caught 6 times.
Well, you look at their lineup. You know, DJ can steal a base even though he's not a flyer. Charlie can steal a base. Now with David Dahl in there, and the club leader's the guy on base right now, Trevor, with 5. But with Dahl in there, you're that much more athletic. Obviously, the guy at the plate can steal bases in Ian Desmond. Even Cargo's looked to run a little bit this year.
It's good to see the improvement over last year.
Well,
I mean, that's just running yourself out of innings. If you have to be, and I've made the argument, you have to be closer to 80%. That's where the Rockies are, just a tad underneath it.
Yeah, and anything above 75%, I mean, that's good. That's solid. And as you said, 80%, that's really good. Last year, the Rockies 64%. It's one of the worst marks in baseball. It was a point of emphasis throughout spring training.
The Rockies offensively against right-handed pitching have struggled. 209 team batting average against them. Just looking at the numbers, Ian Desmond, that's where his main struggle is, hitting over 300 against lefties. Righties, he's 6 for 55. Well, that's shocking.
As a team, the Rockies have the worst average against righties. That's why I keep coming back to the 14 and 12 mark. This is in the air to center field. It's going to stay in the ballpark. Brinson on the track makes the catch. And Story went back and tagged, but elected to not try and advance. That'll bring up Iannetta.
Not a situation where Donnie's gonna intentionally walk Chris Iannetta. It was only because there was a runner at second in that last opportunity.
Well, he probably wouldn't do it here anyhow.
Nope.
Whoa, look out. Bat.
Net.
Beautiful. Caught in the net. Even if Story was at second, he wouldn't walk Iannetta because the Rockies are pinch hitting for Brian Shaw. They've got Ryan McMahon out there. Well, I guess the good news is it looks like the Marlins are going to throw a couple of lefties the next 2 days. Chen may be coming off the disabled list. He's just got to clear one more hurdle. And Garcia is going on Sunday, who's left-handed. That's a strike.
The Rockies against lefties are hitting .266 as a unit. One of the highest in baseball.
Yorlin Garcia on Sunday, and that will end the inning. So the Rockies got a leadoff single from Story, and he ends up stuck there. Colorado 1, the Marlins nothing. But a pitching performance. Tyler Anderson had to leave after 4 outs recorded, and Antonio Senzatella's come in and done a marvelous job. And how about his offense? He has the only run batted into the game with 2 outs, delivering a double to bring home Gerardo Parra. Brian Shaw through the 6th inning, and now Jake McGee will be asked to tame the Marlins in the 7th. He'll face Justin Bour, Cameron Maybin, and Miguel Rojas. It'll be the 13th appearance for Big Jake.
Last 2 appearances for Jake, a little bit of control issues. Missing pitches up in the zone. In fact, we've seen a little dip in velocity as well. We saw him touch typically 94, 95 miles an hour the last appearance. He was sitting around 90 to 92. So we'll pay attention to that today.
Bohr has reached twice in the game, a single and a walk. And the first pitch is in there for a strike at 92. That's off the plate. 2-1. Time flies. Do you know this ballpark opened in 2012? And it's 3-1. This doesn't seem like that long ago.
No. Yeah. First game I ever saw here was 2014, opening day. It was Jose Fernandez. It was the best I've ever seen anybody pitch my entire life as a spectator watching a baseball game.
He was unhittable that day. 3-2, ball 4. And that is not what Jake wanted to do. So a leadoff walk. Bohr's been on 3 times. And that'll bring up Maben. This was off the plate.
Jake McGee just missing off the Subaru strike zone. And I think when you're watching him, is a lot more cutters for Jake McGee. Notice that the velocity has dipped down a little bit. So maybe he's trying to find a little more movement. I know when you're throwing 93 to 95 miles an hour, the margin for error is bigger. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but from 93 down to 92, now you start getting into hitting speed territory.
And he's on record. He said this many times. He will throw harder as the season progresses. Because of his involvement with the WBC last year, his April velocity was up from where it typically is. Sitting on 93 right now. He's ahead of Maben 0-2.
But at the same time, we've also seen Jake McGee pull back and touch 96, 97. So as he's gotten older, he's pitching a little bit more. He's not just throwing as hard as he can. So we'll see if he has a 2-strike heater that's above 94.
Strike 3 came right after him. Caught the inside corner at 94. Maben is out number 1 in the 7th.
It's a cutter. There's that movement. Right inside, well located.
Well received by Chris Iannetta. Miguel Rojas fouled out to first and hit a ground ball to short.
Jake was all over the Subaru strike zone in that last at bat.
Bud Black's game plan, it's been similar of late on the plus side with the great early success of Adam Ottavino. He's kind of taken over that 8th inning role. Sometimes it's 7th inning, depending on it. If there were 2 lefties, he may have put Ottavino up here and saved McGee for the 8th, but more often than not, it's been Adam in the 8th. That's a line drive, and did they get the double play? Nope. Nolan, even though Bohr wasn't far off, just fired as soon as he caught it. 2 outs.
We marveled at JT Real Muto as a catcher making the transfer. Pay attention to how quick Nolan is.
That's pretty close.
About the same distance as throwing out a runner from home to second. But Nolan with the short arm, and he just switches his feet, moves in quickly, and fires.
Bohr did just get back. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Brinson. 2 fly balls to David Dahl and right.
I cannot think of many other infielders, let alone a third baseman, to have the footwork to make a transfer on a line drive, short arm across the entire infield, and make it that close.
Back up the middle, a base hit for Brinson. And now 2 on with 2 outs. And Don Mattingly will go to his bench. So Jose Urania was due up.
Well, Urania pitched extremely well. 7 innings tonight, matches season high, tied with start against the Boston Red Sox, where he gave up 1 earned run, took a no decision. Tomas Telis will pinch hit for him, a switch hitter.
Telis is 2 for 11 pinch hitting this year.
If you just saw Steve Foster waving down to the bullpen, must be because the phone is out. Checking to see if Ottavino is ready. As Bud Black is standing right with home plate umpire Chris Conroy trying to make a move, ready for a double switch.
And if he brings in Adam, he'd have to do that because the pitcher's due to lead off next inning. Which means you'll see Desmond probably come off the field right now and Ryan McMahon come into the ball game. In addition, obviously, to Ottavino.
McMahon with the first base glove. And then Desi will switch. Ottavino time.
Ottavino time's been a good time for the Rockies this year. He's been outstanding. 2 outs, 2 on. Rockies up 1-0. We're in the 7th. Ottavino has been summoned. At second base, Justin Bohr, the tying run, and at first base, Lewis Brinson. Thomas Telis will flip around to the left side. story kind of in the pocket of Justin Bohr, who's not necessarily a flyer. And that just misses outside, ball one. And again, Ryan McMahon has come in at first base. That's a strike.
Well, you know how much we love cat and mouse games between managers, and for Tomas Talise, he has better numbers hitting against right-handers than lefties. However,
this is the old righty.
Yeah, that right-hander is not Adam Ottavino. Ottavino leads the Rockies bullpen with first pitch strikes. He missed on the first one, but it's been the secondary pitch, the slider.
And that is a wicked slider for strike two. You know, if you're talking about the best sliders in the game, right now you have to include Adam Ottavino on that list. Last year you couldn't because he didn't land it enough. It had the great movement, but he was all over the place with it. Fastball, and it's slashed at foul.
And that's the fastball that he had no command of last year. You saw on the Supermo on the strike zone, Subaru strike zone, that was right down the middle. But it's that fastball that allows him to just expose hitters, because now he can throw fastball or slider. A hitter typically would just sit slider against Adam Ottavino, but with that fastball command, they can't.
Ground ball to short. And Adam Ottavino does the job. Two stranded, and we'll move to the eighth. The Rockies continue to lead it 1-0. Lexus look back. Tyler Anderson was having what we've been told, nothing official yet, but Buddy Black joined us in the fourth inning. An irregular heartbeat, something along those lines, and was removed from the game in the second inning. Buddy did add that he seemed to check out okay once they got him inside. We'll learn more, I'm sure, during the postgame show. Senzatella came in, pitched beautifully, and had a double with 2 outs down the third base line to plate Gerardo Parra. That's the only run in this ballgame. Senzatella did a marvelous job again on the hill, and that's been followed up by Brian Shaw, Jake McGee, and Adam Ottavino. So we'll go to the eighth. Ryan McMahon, the double switch, will be in the pitcher spot. He'll lead it off, and then Pat Valleca and Charlie Blackmon against Nick Whitgren.
Whitgren recently recalled from AAA New Orleans on April the 20th. 3-pitch mix, a fastball that averages about 92 miles an hour. Changeup's his best secondary pitch, and will use a slider.
And McMahon takes ball one. Starting to swing it a little bit better. He's had more opportunities to get some regular playing time, with first the suspension of Nolan, and then with Cargo on the DL. Desmond out in the outfield a little bit. He's had some time at first base.
You know, I'd feel really good about myself if Ryan McMahon can run into a fastball and hit in the second deck.
You got him prepared. How about if he gets a base hit to left center field? Will you take that?
I'll take that.
So McMahon leads off the 8th with a single. Back-to-back innings that the Rockies have the leadoff man on. They didn't do anything with Story's leadoff single in the 7th. See if they can change that here.
We love the approach for McMahon. We've seen him hit the ball opposite field. So important for a young hitter to use the entire field. Not worrying about trying to catch up. It's spin a fastball. It allows your barrel to be in the zone for so much longer. And there's plenty of hits the opposite way.
Good job by Valleca getting the bunt down. 3-4. And a couple of shots at it. The first will come from Charlie Blackmon to give the Rockies their second run.
The first 10,000 fans through the gates for the Rockies-Angels game on May 8th will receive a coupon for Nathan's famous $1 hot dog. Delicious sandwich.
You're going there again, aren't you?
Not gonna let it go.
I know. You get caught up in things. Let it go. It's okay. Charlie's 0 for 3. He's facing Whitgren, the Purdue product. When he left West Lafayette, he was the all-time saves leader for the Boilermakers.
Charlie had a pitch right down the middle on the Subaru strike zone.
How many times in your career did you step out of the box and say, how did I not square that up?
I'm sitting up here, aren't I?
But I mean, listen, the great ones, there's no way. All you have to be is off by 1/8 of an inch, right?
It's just timing. You don't see a baseball as well as you do. Some guys hide it better than others.
Pick play that goes without a throw. Daylight play as Rojas showed his glove.
I got to give the Marlins credit. The way they picked off DJ LeMahieu in the 3rd inning was not a daylight play. It was a no look for the pitcher, and it was relayed by the catcher. Great timing on it. Big play at the moment.
Well, they have one of the best infield instructors in baseball in Perry Hill.
Yep.
He's also one of the most humble baseball experts you'll come across. What a good man. There's Perry. 1-1. Charlie takes that high. 2-1. A run on 7 hits, clean baseball defensively, which is typically the case for the Rockies. One of the best fielding marks so far in baseball. Now 3-1. The Rockies have limited the Marlins to just 3 hits. Nolan looming on deck. See, when you're strong, you hit a lot of home runs, you're looming on deck. If you're a Punch and Judy guy, you're just on deck.
You're on deck. I was on deck a lot.
Every once in a while when you caught fire, I remember using the words spilly looming on deck. I remember saying that.
That's nice.
Maybe I'm just saying it for you now. You have to check the old tapes. Insurance now, please. That would be nice. 3-1. Two outs. Well, Nolan's due. He's hit the ball hard twice to deep center. Both of those were caught by Brinson. Also a strikeout in his first plate appearance.
Nolan with runners in scoring position is hitting 400. Don Mattingly will come out, have a quick discussion on how they want to attack Nolan.
And this is just a strategy session, as Spilly suggests, because there's nobody in the Marlins bullpen. Is he making a decision, do you think, or is he asking him, are you comfortable going right on right against Arenado, who's one of the best hitters in the game, or would you feel more comfortable, even though he's a lefty, going against Dahl, who, you know, is a talented player but a very young player still?
If I'm picking my poison and I'm a manager, I'm avoiding the guy at the plate.
Managers say this all the time. Spilly, when you were in a dugout, I'm sure you heard these conversations. It's if you can put your head on the pillow knowing that, okay, we didn't let their best guy beat us. We got beat, but it was by somebody else. It's a little easier. Not that you like losing either way, but it's a little easier. It looks like they're going to go after Arenado. We'll see how serious they are. This could be one of those ones where they stay away, away, away. Well, that one's right down the middle, up in the zone, strike one. I think he missed location, though, quite honestly.
Yeah, and that's the challenge as a hitter is you understand first base is open. They just talked. How much are they actually going to challenge you? And you cannot give away a pitch. Now they might go off speed and challenge over and over again. Well, Wickren's going after him.
Rockies leading 1-0. Scoring here has always been an issue. Their last 15 games, the Rockies have averaged just 2.8 runs a ball game. Last year they were swept here, scored 3 in each game. Wasn't good enough. Realmuto thought about a snap throw. 2 balls and a strike.
Realmuto has already shown he can throw anybody out. Just keeping him close. And now they'll walk Nolan. Not going to give him a hitter's count.
And this is exactly what we talked about. Mattingly doesn't want to be down 2 or 3 runs because he allowed Nolan Arenado to beat him. He's seen Nolan Arenado for years. David Dahl singled sharply to left his last time up. See if he can come through here with 2 outs. Big 2-run triple on Wednesday as the Rockies beat the Padres 5-2.
This game's always about rising up to challenges and calming nerves. After you watch somebody get walked, intentionally walked in front of you, there's a bit of anger that goes through your mind.
2-0.
And sometimes with that anger, it leads to over-aggression. You expand the zone. And I like that David has taken 2 pitches, borderline pitches.
You can't have gotten to this level if you don't walk up to the plate saying, really, you want me? Even though you may understand the strategy. 2-0. 2-1. You better have that inside you. And it's 2-2. He may have chased there. Rockies have had base runners in 4 straight innings, but still just 1 run on the board.
Wickren likes his changeup for his best secondary pitch for 2 strikes against lefties.
He went fastball, tried to again induce Dahl to chase. 3-2. So the Rockies will get movement. And if Dahl can hit a gap, Give Nolan a chance to score. Outside, and they're loaded up for Trevor Story.
I love that about David Dahl's game, is that he's willing to take a walk. 3-2 changeup, got away from Whitgren. Never really finished it, so it didn't give himself a chance to even induce a potential swing from Dahl. And now we're back to that spot in the Rockies lineup where they'd love to see more production.
Story has grounded a short twice and then lined the ball off the top of the glove of Martin Prado for a base hit last inning. He takes strike one. A few days ago, with the bases loaded, he left the yard at Coors Field for his second career grand slam. Real good numbers with the bases loaded in his young career. 0-1. Good swing.
Had a pitch. A lot of major league hitters love to hit with the bases loaded because it shrinks the strike zone. Pitchers are forced to throw strikes.
You ever talk to somebody who didn't want to hit with the bases loaded?
You know, some guys, it gets a little tight.
Not a guy you want on your team, right?
Nope.
You want the brawl at the bat rack when the bases are loaded, don't you? 2 strikes on Story. And Whitgren able to strike him out. So the Rockies leave him loaded in the 8th. Ottavino will try to protect the 1-0 lead when we return.
Nothing. Streaks were made to be broken. Make history and win $5.6 million. Download Beat the Streak today in the App Store or at MLB.com/BTS.
So Ottavino got the final out of the 7th inning, and in the 8th it'll be the top of the order for the Marlins. JT Realmuto, Martin Prado, and Starlin Castro, all right-handed bats. They're a collective 0 for 9. And that fastball is outside, ball 1 on Realmuto. There's that slider. It made the last texter drool. It makes right-handed hitters shudder.
From his perspective, of course it's going to make you drool. The Ottavino slider. It's a major league hitter that just recoiled backwards because he thought he was going to hit him. Oh, and that one's even nastier.
It's like Siri yelling at you, make a left turn, make a left turn. Then dives away. This ball is a hanger and a rare base hit by a right-handed hitter against Adam. A lead single by Real Muto, who can run.
On this slider, just starts up. Much easier, no depth. It's basically a bad BP fastball.
See how the Marlins play this. When Prado is right, and this is his first game back, he's been out all year with a hamstring injury, he shoots the ball to right very well. And he got stood up by that slider.
Oftentimes people think that in order for a right-hand hitter to shoot the ball opposite field, especially through the vacated 4 spot, that they need to pitch away. That's not always the case.
This ball lined to right field. Dahl goes back, makes the catch. Real Muto halfway, returns to first.
That pitch for Prado is more middle to middle in, and it often becomes easier for a right-handed hitter to hit that ball opposite field if they're willing to pull their hands inside. The Marlins on the season have stolen 6 bases, caught stealing 3 times.
Not many, huh?
But Real Muto hasn't been on the team for very long because of injury.
He was 8 out of 10 last year. Starlin Castro at the plate. Time granted, no pitch.
Bear Claw warming up for the Marlins. Very good reliever.
That's a good looking pitch. Fastball at the bottom of the zone. That's a 1-1 count now.
That's why it's so important for Ottavino to have that fastball command. Now lives at the bottom of the Subaru strike zone.
Eighth inning, 1-0 Colorado. And now the count favors Ottavino, 1-2.
You can tell just by that swing that Castro was waiting on an off-speed pitch. It's a fastball, more middle again and up. But his timing was not ready for a fastball. He was ready for off-speed. I'm gonna go fastball away.
Ground ball, tough play for Valaika. Slides, not going to have a play. He was up the middle, and that ball was far to his left. So it's first and second on the infield hit. 1 out, and Brian Anderson coming up.
Well, Castro is just a professional hitter. He may be sitting off speed pitch, but because of his bat plane and because he's willing to get jammed, he pokes it towards Valaika's right. Ends up getting rewarded for putting the ball in play.
Even if he pulls that out cleanly, I don't know if he's going to get Castro. Brian Anderson has struck out twice and hit a ground ball to first. Off the plate, ball one. Justin Boer's on deck. Two and one.
A good pitch. 2-1 slider. 2-0 slider on the Subaru strike zone. For a young hitter, they're looking for a 2-0 fastball.
He got tied up, but it was a ball. 3-1.
Right inside of the Subaru strike zone, just missing. Got him to buckle again.
That fooled him, and it's 3-2. Anderson out of the University of Arkansas. The Razorbacks are having a great year this year.
Let's see what pitch Ottavino goes with if he goes for the 3-2 slider.
He did, and he got the strikeout. 2 outs. And it'll come down to a confrontation between Ottavino and Justin Boer.
This is such a nasty slider, down and away. Based on all the takes that Brian Anderson had throughout the course of the at-bat, it was obvious that the slider, he wasn't picking it up. And even though Ottavino's slider is as sharp as it is at times, we've seen a lot of them up in the zone tonight.
Certainly the one that Real Muto line to left was up.
You got to be careful with Justin Boer. Big time power.
A single and 2 walks, and he starts him out with a backdoor slider for strike one. Real Muto the tying run at second. Starlin Castro the go-ahead run at first. 8th inning, 1-0 Colorado. They got their run in the 5th on a Senzatella double. Boer, that's a fair ball. Grab it fair. Wow. Chris Ionetta's upset. He thought he grabbed it when it was still on the line. Home plate umpire Chris Conroy threw his hands up in the air to say foul ball.
But Black
Buddy's going to go argue, but this is not a reviewable situation.
Sitting on the line. They might be right. It may have been just foul.
That's the angle. Tough to tell. When he picks it up, you see brown fly, not white, which would indicate that it had rolled off the line. I'll make your nastiest pitch right here. What do you like? Got to pick something.
I'm picking slider.
Fastball, strike 3 at the knees. That will work also. What a job by Adam Ottavino. Dealt with a little traffic in the 8th, and he strikes out Justin Boer looking. The Rockies continue to lead 1-0. All right, Connor, thank you. Here in the top of the 9th inning, Gerardo Parra will lead it off. Ian Desmond, Chris Iannetta scheduled after that against a guy with a terrific arm, Kyle Bearclaw. Great name also.
Yeah, great baseball name, and I think when you watch him, you'll understand why people love Bearclaw. Very hard to pick up, hard-throwing right-hander, 16 strikeouts now in just above 10 innings, just below 10 innings. Hard fastball, hard slider. And I'm hoping that the Rockies position players can prove Connor that the best hitters are position players and not pitchers.
Parra 2 for 3, single and a double tonight. And he takes ball 1 on a pitch that was in the Subaru strike zone. Bearclaw, a trapper in the offseason to augment his income. Crickets from you. Nothing. 2-0.
Just picturing a bunch of Bearclaws in his house.
I love the name.
Is he really a trapper?
That's what my research gave me. 3-0.
From Santa Clara, California.
I said Desmond, excuse me. The pitcher spot is next, so Noel Cuevas is on deck. Desmond came out in a double switch, so a leadoff walk to Parra. And now the Rockies again will have an opportunity to try to build a little insurance for Wade Davis. It is 2 straight innings, now 3 straight innings that the Rockies have had the leadoff man on. And those folks who are standing are part of Noel's immediate family that have come from Puerto Rico today. And he said by the time the game starts tomorrow, and he could very well be in the starting lineup against a lefty tomorrow, he's going to have in the neighborhood of 30-35 friends and family.
Wow.
Who've flown over. It's awesome. And tomorrow, wouldn't you know it, is Puerto Rican Heritage Day at the ballpark here at Marlins Park.
Perfect.
Yep.
Bearclaw having trouble finding the strike zone. Sometimes this could be a hit and run count. You're just going with the odds. He went sliders, seeing if he can get him back on track. Real Muto called off-speed pitch and then quickly runs out to talk to him.
In this situation, and Juan Nieves, the pitching coach, will come out and join the talk. You have to take a strike here.
You have to.
He's throwing 6 straight out of the zone. Hey, a reminder, Who Wants Tacos fans, follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special, and the Rockies score 7 or more runs.
Now, one of the hardest things to ask a hitter to do is take a pitch. You want your hitters to constantly be on the attack, to never take a pitch off. And so
especially coming off the bench, right?
I've had managers that would never, no matter what, some guy could throw 12 straight baseballs, all balls. And he wants you to swing. If he throws a pitch down the middle, hit it. You have to be willing to fire at all times.
Well, that's nowhere near the zone. 3-0. And if he were to swing right here, I think Stu Cole may run down and tackle him.
Unless he hit a homer.
Then he will hug him.
He'll fist bump him.
Ball 4, 8 straight out of the zone from Bearclaw to begin the 9th inning. And here comes Iannetta. Chris will be studying Stu Cole to see if the bunt is on. I have to believe the Rockies. It's not done as much at the major league level, but I know we've had this discussion a million times. I like bunt here. I know you do.
I just want the extra insurance run.
And Chris is squaring around early. Pulled it back. It's in there. If Chris gets his down, he's trying to get it down to the left side. And he does. Well done. Iannetta sack bunt, second and third, one out. And now that'll force the Marlins to pull the infield in with Ryan McMahon coming up. Good execution by Iannetta.
It was great execution by Iannetta. Very difficult for guys to bunt at times unless, and this was a mislocated off-speed pitch by Bearclaw. It made it a lot easier for Iannetta because the pitch was up and in towards where Iannetta wanted it. They're going to walk McMahon and loaded the bases.
Yep, force all around. And that'll bring up Valleca. Three walks in the inning. Parra, Cuevas, McMahon all on. Infield in the middle drops back to traditional double play depth. And Valleca takes a strike. Not throwing a fastball, I don't think, for a strike.
No, he has not.
No swing, 1-1. Cuevas at second runs well. McMahon is solid in the running department. Parra is the runner at third. He squeezed the gaps with the outfield straight up. A ball and a strike on Patty Barrels. 1-0 Colorado, top of 9. Well, that was a good fastball from Bearclaw, and that one was well located.
It's always how it ends up working out for a hitter. You get a situation where the pitcher's on the ropes and they locate a fastball right on the edge in the swing count. 1-1 count, they make the best pitch. Oh, he had an opportunity. Hanging off-speed pitch. Valleca fouls it straight back.
On the inner half where he typically likes it. And the approach, there was lift in the swing. The approach was perfect.
Let's try and get the ball up in the air.
And that caught the inside corner. Valleca thought it was in. It may have been. 2 outs. It'll be left to Charlie Blackmon.
There's a curveball reaching back. Real Muto tries to show it for Chris Conroy behind home plate. Froze Valleca.
Charlie 0 for 4 tonight. 2 outs, bases loaded. And strike 1. Rockies now 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position tonight. And the 1-1. Good swing. He got a pitch to his liking. That was up over the heart of the plate. It's been one of those nights up and down the lineup when the Rockies have had a high-quality pitch to drive. It seems like they fouled it off. Rockies left them loaded in the 8th. And a strikeout ends the inning again. The Rockies leave 6 on in the last 2 innings, but they still lead it 1-0, looking for 3 more outs. To expand their lead, but they're trying to win it 1-0. And did you know, because the Rockies RBI came from that man, Antonio Senzatella, a Rocky reliever, has never had all of the Rockies ribbies in a game. The last time, in fact, a relief pitcher got the win, which Senzatella is in line for, and drove in the only run in a 1-0 victory, was August 23rd, 1980. It was Joe Negro. How about that? Wade Davis is trying to add Antonio Senzatella to that list. So here we go. As you look at Davis, who's looking for his 10th save, he'll get a pinch hitter here for Maben. Miguel Rojas, Lewis Brinson, the scheduled hitters. Derek Dietrich has been tapped on the shoulder by Don Mattingly and asked to pinch hit here, the veteran.
Gotta be careful with Dietrich. Has power. Numbers are better facing righties than lefties. There's a cutter inside, just taken inside for a ball.
League hitting just 118 against Wade Davis. Rockies shift 3 on the right side for Dietrich. And he fouls that pitch off. 1-1. The only person with more saves in baseball is the Mariners closer, hard-throwing Edwin Diaz. Davis and Juris Familia, the Mets, tied with 9. Off the plate. This ball lined to right toward the corner. Dahl trying to keep it a single. Dietrich going for 2, throws on line, not in time. Leadoff double for the pinch hitter Dietrich.
Dietrich leg kick, hangs it. It was a hanging off-speed pitch that he's able to pull right past McMahon. Dahl does a great job getting to it, but in no doubles. He's playing a lot deeper. It's a harder throw.
Got there pretty quickly considering he's carrying like an extra 10 pounds with the jewelry. Dietrich, Charlie Blackman's buddy from Georgia Tech. A leadoff double, and now it's Miguel Rojas. 0 for 3 tonight. Hard not to think about the last 2 innings of opportunities lost offensively for the Rockies.
Momentum shifters for the Marlins. Rockies fail to score, add on. And as a unit, you feel like you still have a chance to not only tie the game, but to win it.
Strike on Rojas. Still in the bottom portion of the lineup. Wild swing, and it's 0-2.
Now, Don Mattingly does carry a 5-man bench, so there's still 3 pinch hitters left. Brian Holiday, backup catcher, most likely isn't going to be used, but you still have a lefty and a righty available to Don Mattingly.
Part of that 3-pitch mix. That was a curveball. 1-2. Davis hunting a strikeout here. First of 3 in Miami. First game of a 9-game road trip for the Rockies. Trying to win their 3rd straight. They've allowed just 2 runs in their last 3 games. Davis trying to keep it that way. Another 1-2. He did not offer at it. 2-2.
Curveball in the dirt. Looked really close. First base umpire Brian Honora said nope.
Three and 2.
Rojas stringing together a quality at bat after quickly getting behind 2 strikes.
And Mattingly said before the game, Rojas has made himself into a tough out, something you probably wouldn't have said about him a few years ago.
Rojas stepping out, trying to calm his nerves. Netta and Davis trying to get on the same page.
Now you want to make sure you're convicted in what you are going to throw here. 3 and 2, nobody out. Rojas' first year in the big leagues was 2014 with the Dodgers. He hit 181. Last year he hit 290 with Miami. Three and two. And a foul ball.
Davis hasn't been so sharp with his command tonight. 3-2 pitch still, even though it's on the corner, it's too much middle and up. It's almost belt high.
Strike three, he got him. On the inside corner, he freezes Rojas out, number one in the ninth.
This is a phenomenal pitch. 3-2 fastball. The pitch before, Davis got away with one. Knuckle curve, 3-2 inside curveball.
And Ionetta stuck it.
He stuck it. That is a great pitch. Tied up Rojas.
And now the kid, Lewis Brinson. He singled his last time up the middle. 1 for 3. And he takes a fastball right down Brickell Avenue. 0-1. Here's the 0-1, and he went. 0-2.
That's how you tie up a hitter. Up and in. Got him on the check swing. On a swing like that, you can tell there's late movement from Davis, but even beyond that, the timing for Brinson is showing you he's late on fastball.
JB Shuck is in the on-deck circle. But first things first, 0-2 on Lewis Brinson. Strike three, looking, 2 outs. Wade Davis with virtually the same pitch that froze Miguel Rojas.
Tied him up with a 0-1 fastball up and in, and then he just goes for the hard curveball right at Lewis Brinson's left shoulder. As a hitter, you see that pitch coming at you, and visually it looks like the ball is traveling right at you.
So JB Shuck with Dietrich at second, 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Ball 1. Shuck this year has been the most frequently called upon to pinch hit for Don Mattingly. He's 2 for 15. Two and 0. Get all your meetings at the mound out of the way here.
We just have to make sure the scoreboard and the umpire have it right. Rocky's down to 2 mound visits.
We get this question periodically: what happens if you went out there and there were no more mound visits left? You'd have to pull the pitcher out of the game. That's the penalty. 2-0. way inside, 3-0. Real Muto's on deck. J.B. Shuck a year ago wasn't even in the big leagues. Spent the entire year at AAA in the Twins organization. 3-0, laid right in there, 3-1. He has big league time with Houston, the Angels, Cleveland, and the White Sox, in addition now obviously to Miami. One nothing Rockies, 2 outs, runner in scoring position, bottom of 9. And he lost him. Didn't get on top of that curveball, so now the potential winning run is at first base. And the best hitter, really the best player in their lineup, is coming up in JT Realmuto.
This is scary at bat. This is not the matchup that the Rockies wanted. Realmuto on the season, as even though it's been short, he's hit .429 with 3 homers against right-handers.
Tonight, 1 for 4. He singled last inning against Ottavino. Big swing and a miss on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone.
Now, we haven't really seen Wade Davis get past the 20-pitch marker. Now, some relievers, they tend to lose velocity and lose sharpness with their stuff after a certain number. We're not sure exactly what that number is for Wade Davis yet.
One. Swung on and missed. 1-2.
Davis went first pitch fastball 95. They went off speed down in the dirt. 1-1. He challenged him with the fastball again.
Davis trying to win the battle and close the game. 1 ball, 2 strikes on JT Realmuto. Ground ball to short. Ball game over. Rockies win it 1-0. A little drama in the 9th, but Wade Davis has his 10th save. And what a night for Antonio Senzatella. Called upon early because Tyler Anderson had to leave. He pitched beautifully. And oh, by the way, he threw out a 2-out run-scoring double to drive in the only run of the night. What a ball game.
Unbelievable. First time it's happened since 1980.
First time since 1980. Joe Niekro, the last who turned the trick.
Wow.
Terrific way to start the road trip and exercise some demons here in South Florida in their 100th game down here in the Miami area. 1-0 Rockies. As we go to our Denver studios, here's Connor and Huey.